when they hollered at my door, it was 2 o'clock, so I apologize. Hey, anyway, what we want to do here today is welcome you to the IAC webinar. We get asked a lot, what does IAC stand for? Individual Assurance Company. Basically, guys, the company's been around for about 50 years, a little over 50 years. They've got a B+ rating with a stable outlook, and primarily they've been focusing and operating in about 43 different states throughout the Pacific Nation Islands and selling life insurance program through individuals and groups. So the company's been around a long time, and the owner lives in, he's from Kansas, I think Shawnee Mission, Kansas, over in that area, and IAC's headquarters are in Edmond, Oklahoma, so you have a local Midwest company here with Midwest values. So very good company to do business with. We have a great back office to do the admin work. It's out west in Salt Lake City. So a lot of experience behind this product. So let's go ahead and take a look at where the map or where the product is actually available here in just a second to get my screen to move. What we want to talk about here today is the supplement, the availability of it, give you some competitive data to look at different states, talk about our household discount and how you apply that, submission of business, whether it be face-to-face or over the telephone through a call center setting, and some exciting new bonus programs that we're currently offering for this product. Starting to get a lot of excitement out there on the street. And then at the end, we'll put a contact sheet up there so that you will have complete access to every department that you will need to do business with IAC. Okay, so here is the availability map. There's still a few states out there that are pending, as you can see in the blue. It's about a 43-state offering, 43, 44, somewhere in that neighborhood. And some states, you know, just like with any Medicare supplement offering, some states got extremely good rates. Other states, the rates will get more competitive as other people take rate increases throughout 2015. So if you're calling, you know, we're getting a lot of excitement about Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a state that we had some programming issues. We thought it was going to be ready to go here in the next week, but it's actually looking like this. I think the first week in February sometime that it should be available. Minnesota, we're hoping to get it up running, and a state that we're getting a lot of buzz about is California. You know, you got 3 states there toward the bottom that are kind of like their own little world out there: California, Texas, and Florida. A lot of seniors in those 3 states, and we're going to be covering 2 of those 3 states. So a lot of excitement about Texas, got great rates there, and a lot of buzz about California when we get that approved there. So with that said, let's just take a look at the different rates and what we offer. I'm going to show you 2 different things here today, guys, gals. We're going to show you some Plan F offerings where we have a really good offering for Plan F. Don't have near time to go through all 40 states for F, so I just picked out 5 or 6 in each state, and you know, 5 Plan Fs and about 5 or 6 Plan Gs. And I want to show you how competitive this product is and how it stacks up against the competition. And when you stop and figure the high comp and bonuses, the back office online support that you get, guys, this is a winning combination to have in your kit. And we are starting to see the production tick upwards. So take Utah, for instance. If you look at Manhattan, they approved their product, that rate at $113.50 back in August of 2013. Well, that's about a year and 6-7 months into it. You and I both know in the Med Sup market that rate increase is not too many more months down the road. I have heard, I don't know that it's true, but I have heard Manhattan's looking at a rate increase sometime in February or early March. Now, again, I don't know that. That's just what I have been told. So if you look at IAC, we're at $121.19. And if you look at Stonebridge, they're at $118. And they filed their product right out at the same time we filed ours. But if you look at the others up there that are very competitive in Utah, they've been out there for a year and a half, a little bit more. You know, all of those are going to go upward. Add our 7% discount, and we actually would be sitting in the #1 seat. So let's talk about what you got to do to qualify for that discount, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more here in a few slides. Based on what we're looking at right now, guys, this is a Plan F, female, age 67, non-smoker in the lowest area factor. And only one person need to apply to get this 7% discount. In other words, if you have a husband who is 65 and his wife is 60, you can still qualify him for a 7% discount. We feel probably at least 60 to 70% of the people you talk to should qualify for that discount, and I think I'm being very conservative when I say 60 to 70%. Now, when we filed the rates on this, we wanted to kind of take the target off of our back by having a lower rate at 65 than anybody out there. We want to get away from that open enrollment business. I started selling Med Sup back in 1984. I don't know how many times in the past 30 years I have heard a person getting ready to turn 65 and the conversation goes kind of like, well, you know, I got this hip that's been bothering me for a long time. I think as soon as I get on Medicare, I'll go have it fixed, but I don't want to have to pay I got a $5,000 deductible right now. I don't want to have to pay that. I only got, you know, I've been dealing with the pain for a year or two right now. I can wait another 3 or 4 months till I turn 65. Boom, new claim. And you guys know that's going to drive rates up. So we kind of made our rate the same as 65 as we did at age 67, and that's why these rates show starting at age 67. We wanted to get that open enrollment bullseye off our back. So kind of gives you a thought process of how the company's looking at this, because the last thing we want to do is come in with a good rate, which we have, but we don't want it so low at 65 that 2 years from now we have a 20-25% rate increase like some companies that do this. We want you to be able to preserve that block of business. So that's what you're going to see here is all of these rates will be 67 starting out, not 65 as we have done in the past. In Kansas, that is a very strong rate in Kansas. You're looking at 126.76. That was effective 10/1 of 14. Manhattan introduced a product in May last year of 2014, and they're right in the same ballpark that we are. When you add our 7% household discount, that puts us down at about 117.89. I'm here to tell you that's a very, very good offering in the state of Kansas at age 67. Now, add that rate, add the online express app process that we offer, and the online contracting that you can do for your agents or your downline agents. This is a lot of good winning factors, and then throw in a good bonus program, guys. We think 2015 is going to be a good year for our IAC contracted agents. Missouri, not approved yet. Well, it is approved, I'm sorry. It just isn't ready for release. We're going to target release it on Monday of this coming week. We hope everything works out just fine. I think it will, but don't want to promise you that it's going to be available next Monday, but I'm almost about 95 to 96% sure that it will be ready to market come Monday of next week. If you look at our rate at 145.56 for a 67-year-old female non-smoker in the lowest area factor, we're at 145.56. Stonebridge is very competitive in Missouri and has taken a lot of business out of here in the past year and 10 months. But if you look at our discounted rate at 135.37 at age 67 or even age 65, that's still in the #1 chair in the state of Missouri. That's a very strong rate. So good product, and hope to see a lot of business come out of my hometown or my home state, Missouri. So South Dakota, 113.25. That's been approved since let's see, October the 1st of 2014. Take a look at Manhattan. They're at 113.25. They're about $5 less than we are. However, if you look at the offering, you and I both know 2 years is coming up on a rate increase. So throw that 7% discount that we offer, and us and Standard Life are going to be pretty hard to beat in the state of South Dakota. Got a lot of good agencies up in South Dakota, so we're expecting to get a pretty good run rate in South Dakota. It's not a very heavily populated state, but you know, we think we're going to get a fairly good amount of business out of the state of South Dakota. Texas, a very heavily populated state. Take a look at our rate at 119.80. Heartland National at 119.24. They both offer a 7% discount. They both were released pretty close to the same time. Take that 7% discount in there, you're at 111.41 for a Plan F at age 67. Guys, that's one of the best rates in the state of Texas, bar none. About the only place that's really not that competitive in Texas And I shouldn't say it's not that competitive. It's still fairly competitive. For the city zip code would be down around the Houston area. The rest of the state, I'm telling you, is wide open for the state of Texas. And the numbers are starting to come in from that state too, and they're looking pretty promising. So Texas is looking good. So if you're listening or selling over the phone or from Texas, take a look at us. Give us a try down there. I think you'll like what you see. Now I'm going to take a look at some Plan G rates. As you can remember, if you go back to Missouri, I believe it was 145 something. Would Plan G be a good offering in Missouri on IAC paper? Absolutely. It's $25 a month less. Well, 25 times 12 is more than 147. So kind of what I try to, when I was out training a lot, is when I would tell these guys, when you go into a home, your number one objective is to sell insurance, as long as it's in the best interest of the policyholder. If it's in your best interest and not theirs, then you should pack your bag and move to the next opportunity. But as long as you can benefit the policyholder, there's nothing wrong with a person having a Plan G. 120 versus 145, that's prior to the discount. The only difference in a Plan G and a Plan F is what? The $147 Part B deductible. You take somebody that you're selling a Plan G to, say, in June, and maybe they've been to the doctor already a couple of times this year for routine visits. Well, they've already met their $147 deductible, so that won't really come into play until 2016. So take a look at Plan G. Get your legal pad out. If there's more than $147 difference in a Plan G premium that you're offering and a Plan F premium that they're currently paying, get creative. Show them why they're getting the same benefit, but they're saving money when you start crunching the numbers. If you're dealing with a husband and wife, that can add up to substantial savings. Give you an example. I sold my mother and my aunt Mutual of Omaha about 5 years ago, not quite. It's been about, I think, well, yeah, it's probably been 4 years. It'll be 4 years in April. And I wrote my mother a Plan G, and I wrote my aunt. My aunt has macular degeneration, and she just didn't want to fool with paying any bills, so I wrote her a Plan F, and both Mutual of Omaha. My aunt is 2 years older than my mother, so her premium was a few dollars more, but not a whole lot. If you look at your attained age, or you look at your ratings, there's not much difference in an 83-year-old and an 81-year-old. I think they were like 70, 78, and 80, or whatever the ages were when they started, but there was 2 years difference. My mother renewed this year at $1,848 on a Plan G. Now she has to pay the $147 deductible, so just round it off to $2,000 is what her total cost is. My aunt renewed at about $2,800. Now I ask you, who has the best benefit per dollar spent there? Definitely my mother does, because she's about $800 less for the same apple once you add that Part B deductible back in there. So get creative with your Plan G. As long as you can benefit your policyholder, there's nothing wrong with anybody out there having a Plan G. And what some of the actuarial data is telling us is a Plan G is probably going to be a little more stable when it comes to rate increases, for the simple reason Plan G is not a guarantee issue plan. You cannot guarantee issue, like if somebody's coming off of a Medicare Advantage and they want to do GI into a Med Sup, they can have a Plan F, but they cannot have a Plan G. So we think, from what we're seeing actuarial-wise, Plan G is going to remain a little bit more stable in rate increases down the road. And guys, when companies don't take big rate increases, people keep their policies, and when they keep their policies, we get residuals. So that's a win-win for everybody. Pennsylvania. Sentinel Security right now sitting in the #1 slot, but if you run into a individual with a spouse or a live-in, or maybe just a brother or sister living together, 2 brothers, whatever, you can add that 7% discount. That throws us down around $100.54. That's a very, very good benefit for a Plan G plan. So again, take a look at the Plan G offerings. A lot of times when you go into a house, or what I've always found is when I went into a house, and if my Plan F was, say, $100 a year less than their Plan F that they currently had, they don't get too excited about saving $6 or $7 a month, maybe $8, $9 a month. if they've had that plan for a while. But when you can sit down there and show them the difference, and maybe your plan G is $400 difference than their current plan F, then you can start to make some headway if you get creative with your legal pad and show them how that benefits them dollar-wise. You know, the most bang for the buck, as the old saying goes. So get creative with your legal pad. Plan G is a very, very good offering for a lot of individuals. South Carolina, Standard Life and Heartland are at about, well, Standard's at $90.93. They filed that at the end of last year. IAC filed a $95.59 at right around 1st of November of last year. We offer a 7% discount. They offer a 5%. If you do the math, they still got us beat by $1, I think, a month. But there's other things that we offer that they don't. We offer your policyholder the ability to get an instant approval of policy number while you're there in the house with them or while you're on the phone with them. So there's no guesswork as to whether they get insured. We've got one of the best back offices in the business, bar none. And then when you throw in the bonuses, maybe we're both paying you the same thing. Maybe you're both on a level contract paying whatever the number is, but we're paying you a bonus for writing apps with us for this product. We think that we can do that for quite a ways into 2015, maybe the whole year. I'm not sure yet. But that means that we're trying to help you earn more income also. So very, very good choices out there, a lot of good products out there, and we're trying to give you reasons to come on board and continue to fly the IAC banner. Texas. Again, IAC sitting there at about $97.87. Offer that 7% discount, and there's only a $1 difference in us right now. Now we're going to be about $1 cheaper than standard. So very, very good offerings in the state of Texas, both F and both for Plan G. If you look at New Jersey, Plan G is at $132.47. Offer a 7% household discount. We approved that product in November. That puts us down around $123.20. That's about, if you get the discount, that's about $11 a month less than Manhattan, and I'm thinking that's a substantial difference. I think you can get some traction with that. Utah, another good state for our Plan G product, $97.08. If you take the IAC at $99.01, subtract that discount off of there if they qualify, it's going to put us in at $92.08. And let me tell you where things like this really benefit you and I. Excuse me. Let's say it's the 25th day of February, and you're sitting there talking to a man or a woman, and they have told you that, I'm kind of glad you're here. I just got a rate increase from my current carrier, and I'm getting a 20% rate increase February the 1st. With us, you can get an instant policy number if you think they're in good health and they'll qualify. By the end of a 20-minute phone call, you can have a policyholder have a policy number. You can eliminate buyer's remorse. You can eliminate them having to pay that rate increase. Just a lot of good opportunities when we get into what we're going to talk about here is a tele app and how that works. So at $92.08, that's a pretty strong price in Utah for a 67-year-old female for a Plan G. Okay, guys, I'm going to buzz right through this application. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because I'm going to cover it a little bit more in detail when we get to the telephonic part. So if you have any questions when I'm going through this, if you click that little orange arrow up there in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you can type questions in. Todd Weiss is on the other end here, and he will be answering questions as we move through there. So by the time we get done, he'll have most of your questions taken care of. So pretty general applications, very easy to fill out. It's not any little square boxes that you got to write in. Part 1, just a personal information. Part 2 is your plan selection. Plan A, F, G, and N is a plan. We offer those 4 plans in every state. There's a couple of states out there. It might be Pennsylvania. I'm not for sure where we're required to offer like a Plan C. I think maybe Minnesota may have some of those requirements with some of the riders that they offer. So, but basically for the webinar here today, you can bet it no matter what state you're in, you'll have an A, F, G, and an N offering. You also have your tobacco question there. Have they smoked tobacco in the last 12 months? Part 3 is your eligibility about Medicaid. When did you turn 65? You move on to that. Part 4 is the Medicare information, basically, again, asking about Medicaid. Question 3 wants to know if they had anything other than original Medicare, like a Medicare Advantage plan. Part 4 is your Medicare supplement information if you're replacing a Medicare supplement for somebody that's maybe 70 years old and on XYZ Med Sup and you're replacing that. Or Part 5 is if they're coming off of an employer group plan. And one of those sections usually will have a yes answer unless you're talking to somebody who has no coverage at all. Part 5, pay attention to this because if you're going to use our Telephonic app or our online app process that will be available shortly, they're going to ask you if you have disclosed to your policyholder Part 5 located on page 3 of the application. And if I'm face-to-face, this is not a hard thing. I just turn around and say, Ms. Jones, just go ahead and kind of glance through this, and I walk them through it. First off, you don't need more than one Medicare supplement policy. There's no reason to have two. If you purchase this policy, you may want to evaluate your existing coverages. And then 3, 4, 5, and 6 talk about should they become eligible for Medicaid, they have certain rights after purchasing this policy. And I always tell them if that ever happens, if you become eligible for Medicaid, get a hold of me, and I will walk you through those steps on what you need. So when you do the telephonic enrollment, we're going to ask you, have you read that to the policyholder? And the correct answer is yes. And if you describe that kind of like what I did with the policyholder, you then tell them when they ask you this question, the correct answer is yes. Because if they say no, I don't know what you're talking about, that will stop the interview. Part 6 is the general guarantee eligibility, and that is state-specific. So if you're in one state, it may read a little different than the other, but they are state-specific. Part 6, again, is the continuation. Part 7 is the household discount information. And we have simplified this household discount. If I went back to my map that I had earlier, there's 3 states right now that are fighting us on the only one person need apply. And when I say they are fighting, that's the Department of Insurance in those states. Ohio, New Jersey, and Idaho. If you're in those 3 states, we may have to make it to where, well, in New Jersey, I know it is, 2 people have to apply to get the discount. In Ohio, 2 people will have to apply to get the discount. And when I say apply, and approved. And in Idaho, we're just going to not give a discount. We're just going to lower the base premium by about 4.4%. That way, across the board, everybody's going to get a reduction. So outside of those 3 states, the household discount works kind of like this. To be eligible for a policy with a lower premium, there's got to be at least 1, but no more than 3 people living in the house. And the reason we put that no more than 3 is we've had some agents say, well, what about people who live in assisted living facilities or residential care facilities where they come and go, but there's 30 or 40 in the facility? No, they got to be living in the home or in the apartment with them, but there can't be more than 3. So that's, you know, that's what we think about. 70 to, I think 75% of the people you talk to is going to probably be eligible for a discount. So you ask that question, is there more than one person living in the household? They supposedly have lived there for more than 12 months, and you either have to be married or in a civil union partnership, or a brother could live with a sister, or 2 sisters or 2 brothers. So as long as 2 adults are in that home, we're going to give you a 7% discount. You provide their name and relationship and address and move on. The premium payment and admin is your next section. That's pretty simple stuff right there. You guys can figure that out. But I just blew that household discount up a little bit more so you can see it better. And basically, again, question number 1, do you have a household resident of at least 1 but no more than 3? If they say yes, discount. So that's pretty simple stuff right there, guys. It's, you know, we're wanting to make this easy. I told somebody the other day that I would, if I am in a state to where 2 people have to apply to get the discount, and they both have to be issued and approved, I just not have a discount, because that really can be detrimental. You'll write one, or you'll write them both, and one person gets approved, and one gets declined, and the other one says, if you're not going to insure my wife, you're not going to insure me either. I don't know how many times I've had that happen in the past. So only one need apply in the majority of the states, which is going to make it easier for you and I to do business. Again, that is the health questions. It's a yes/no application, very simple, pretty serious stuff on there. The questions that we get asked a lot about are the diabetic questions. So look at question number 6 and then 7, but start out with number 6. Do you have diabetes that's ever required more than 50 units of insulin daily? If they are on 35 in the morning, 35 at night, you know you can't insure them. And it says, do you have any of the following? Neuropathy, retinopathy, peripheral artery disease, or any heart disorder, stroke, TIA, or kidney disease? If they have any of those, we're not going to insure them. Diabetes is something we have to be very careful with to maintain this rate. We don't want to, open it up to where we're taking heavily insulin-dependent diabetics, because that's going to drive our rates way high. Number 7, it says if you have diabetes with high blood pressure. So now you're talking about a combination. So very seldom will you run into a diabetic that's not on blood pressure medicine. It says, have you taken more than 2 medications for either condition? More than, not 2. It says more than 2. So if they're taking 3 medications for blood pressure and 1 for diabetes or 2 for diabetes, probably not going to issue that. But if they're taking an oral medication and 2 blood pressure medications and they've had good control over 2 years, then we're going to consider that and take that. I'll show you the underwriting guide here shortly, but take time to read this application. It's a very, very simple application, and I know this is a novel concept, but I always try to get guys to read the underwriting guide. I tell them at the home office, you don't think we're going to read these underwriting guides, do you? Those are boring. But read your underwriting guide. There's some good information in there. The next page of the app will be the medication page. We ask 4 different things on each drug. When you're talking to your policyholders, they need to, number 1, know the name of the medicine. They need to know about how long they've been on it. I've been taking amlodipine for quite a while since the Medicare drug program come out, but I don't know what day or month. So what I do in there on the date originally prescribed, I just write down around 2007. That's good enough, or 2008, whatever it is. We're just wanting to make sure it's been more than 2 years. Put down your dosage, 10 milligrams, 3 times daily or 2 times daily, whatever it is. And they need to know what they're taking the medicine for. If they're taking Aricept but they don't know why, there's a reason. They're in early stages of Alzheimer's disease or maybe mid stages of Alzheimer's disease. So make sure they know what their medications are, because we are going to ask during the underwriting interview. This page here just is your signature pages, pretty simple stuff, the producer statement, and then your copy of your standard replacement form. So with that said, let's talk about how we go about writing business and getting it into the home office. I think what we have to show you here, if you're new to IAC, you'll find is very beneficial for us out there in the sales field. 2 different ways, face-to-face, that's when you're sitting at the kitchen table talking to the prospects, and a call center setting, which we have a lot of business being produced today through the call center setting. So what are some of the benefits, and why would I want you to do a telephonic app versus the old-fashioned way of writing an app, or maybe an e-app where you send it in and do it that way? Well, first off, immediate results. If I can give you an immediate result, I can help you eliminate buyer's remorse. That's one of the things that people cancel insurance for, is when it takes a long time to get a policy approved. A time saver for the policyholder. Definitely those 2 go hand in hand. If you get good at this and can start doing it over the telephone, think of the money you can save and how many more people you can reach out and talk to in a day if you're doing it sitting at your desk and not having to spend money driving up and down the highway. Imagine that. You get a policy approved today, we're going to be able to pay you quicker. Now, I don't know about you guys on the other end of this call, but I'm here to tell you I like to get paid for what I do, and the quicker it gets in my account, the quicker we can go spend that and then stimulate the economy, help the country out. So commissions get paid quicker because when we draft somebody's policy or a bank account, a day or 2 after the policy has been approved, as like if I did an app today and they drafted the account tomorrow, that's going to get the policy out the door quicker, and it's going to get money in my bank account quicker. a huge benefit right here by doing the Telephonic app. It's virtually, guys, gals, a mistake-free process. The underwriting department can't move from one section of the app to the second section of the app unless all required information has been filled out and logged properly. It won't let them, it'll red flag them. It'll not let them go to the next part of the app. So what do? How do we go about doing that? First off, we call 888-352-5158, and we'll complete what we call the agent process. So the tele-underwriter is going to get you on the phone because you're going to have made the phone call, and they're going to talk to you first. They're going to make sure you're appointed to IAC, and they'll do that when they ask you for your agent writing number. So it's important that you know your agent writing number. They're going to ask you your applicant's name, the effective dates that you want. Have you discussed a bank draft date with the policyholder prior to calling, which you should? And where do you want us to send that policy? Do you want us to send it to you? Do you want us to send it to the policyholder? That's your choice. You can do it one way one time, one way the next time. We don't make you pick one way and stick with it. You can do it either or. That's your choice. They're going to want to know what city and state the application is taken in. If you're replacing, what is the name of the carrier? Once they have established all of this, they're going to say to you, okay, Bill, go ahead and put the client on the telephone. So now the client is going to move to the telephone. And again, guys, I'm doing a face-to-face. I'm kitchen table selling. So now you remember that app that we looked at? I'm not going to go through this all again. I will, but I'm going to go really quick here. Now that underwriter is going to start logging all of this information. They are going to take, it's just like they're sitting there doing the app for you. They're going to get all of this information. They're going to go right on through all of this. They'll get to this. They may not go exactly in this order because there will be processes the way their application on their screen is set up, but they're basically asking everything on that application. They're going to guarantee everything. They'll verify with you, the agent, about is there more than one applicant living with it in the household, so they'll already know there's a 7% discount. They'll get the premium, and this is key right here. If you are sitting there doing face-to-face selling and you hear the underwriter come to the health questions, and I'm sitting there face-to-face, so I've given them the application. This is the questions they're going to ask you. I've already asked you these, and you've said no. They will tell you these questions are yes, no, and then they'll move to the medications. If you hear them asking the health questions, and then you hear them ask for the medications, and then they say, okay, Ms. Jones, I need to speak to your agent. At that point, you got a problem. Because if they don't start verifying premium information after the health questions and the medications, I think the conversation will go, okay, Ms. Jones, we're going to move now on to the premium payment of your policy. And that's when they're going to start asking about the bank draft, the bank routing numbers and the checking account numbers, establishing the correct effective dates that you have already told them when they did the agent process. You want to draft on the 5th of the month or whatever you establish, verifying the correct premium. And if you do not hear them do that, then you need to start looking in your kit for another company because they are a decline. But if you hear them talking about premium payment and admin, then bingo, the sale is complete. You're gonna get a policy issued. So once they start verifying the banking information, they will have already done this. That's why I say it's not exactly laid out the way it is, but they'll have verified the banking information or the health questions, the medications. Then they will move through the bank draft information, and now basically your sale is over and complete. So here is what I want to tell you a little bit more about diabetes. Here's what we consider. It says, if you look at the second paragraph, it says there may, however, be situations where an applicant has been receiving medical treatment or taking prescription medicine for a long-standing or controlled health condition. Again, this is for diabetics. A condition is considered to be controlled if there have been no changes in treatment or medications for at least 2 years. If this situation exists and you would like consideration to be given to the application, answer the appropriate question yes, and attach an explanation stating how long the condition has existed and how it's being controlled. Be sure you include the names and dosages of all medications. Now, guys, let's say that you have an insulin-dependent diabetic and he's taking maybe 60 units of insulin. But I've got a guy insured in Concordia, Missouri. He was insulin-dependent diabetic, taking 70 units of insulin a day, and this was on a long-term care policy, but this man took good care of himself. He exercised, he lifted weights, he was still very active at work, and we got him a long-term care policy issued, and you hardly never got anybody issued long-term care taking insulin at 70 units a day. So what they're telling you here, if you run into this unlikely event, that you don't run into it often, but if you do, and you feel like that we should be giving extra consideration, there's some flexibility here for diabetics. But if you run into somebody that's taking 50 units of insulin, 300 pounds smoking and stuff like that, that's not somebody we're going to give consideration. But if you do run into that unique case to where a guy really has taken good care of his diabetes, took it under control and managed it, there is some flexibility there. Questions that you may want to ask would be, do they have any extra eye problems or vision problems? Do they have any numbness in their feet or toes or hands, or circulation, pain in the legs, things like that? That means they're dealing with probably some things like neuropathy or retinopathy if they have any of those types of situations. Coverage consideration down at the final paragraph under number 3, consideration for coverage may be given to those persons with well-controlled areas of hypertension and diabetes. A case is considered to be well controlled if the person is taking no more than 2 oral medications for diabetes and no more than 2 medications for hypertension. So then they talk about insulin. A combination of 1 insulin, so let's say they're taking insulin and 1 oral medication, would be the same as 2 oral medications. So there is some leeway here, guys, but you know, they're still going to be very strict. They've got to have a 2-year control for diabetes on the medications with no changes. So if you have any questions like that, get a hold of us. Maybe we can help you get that piece of business placed. Part 10, again, is just your agreement and acknowledgement where you sign the app and kind of go like that. Now, so now you've went through the complete app with the underwriter on the phone. The underwriter's done their job. They've done all the payment information, and now the underwriter tells the policyholder, okay, Ms. Jones, please hand the phone back to your agent. Guys, here's the most important part of the Express app or the Telephonic app. When that phone comes back to you, the agent, you should put it on speaker. I never use their telephone if they do not have speakerphone capability. If they don't, I use my iPhone, because when that phone comes back to me after this interview, I want them to hear with their own ears that they are approved. So the conversation kind of goes like this. The phone comes back to me, the agent, I put it on speakerphone, and let's say I've got Jose on the phone, and Jose says, okay, Bill, give me just a second here, I'll give you your policy number. So he gets the policy number, and he says, okay, your policy number is 289-6344, and everything is okay. So at that point, I'm going to start asking Jose, the underwriter, some questions just so that my policyholder can hear it with their ears. So I'm going to say, okay, Jose, let me make sure I got this straight. The policy number is 289-6344, correct? Yes, that's right. Now, Jose, we're going to make this effective February the 1st, correct? That's correct. Premium is going to be $105 a month. We're going to draft it on the 5th day of each month. And since we have no pre-existing waiting period for our policies, it would be okay for Mr. Jones to go ahead and get a hold of his current carrier and have them cancel it on February the 1st. Is that right? That is correct. Okay, Jose, I appreciate you, man. Take care. Have a great day. So why would I do that? Because when I can let the client hear it with their own ears, that's a lot more important to them, and it carries a lot more weight than me just telling them that. They heard it with their own ears. So what I do at this point, guys, gals, is I say, okay, Mr. Jones, go ahead and grab your current ID card with XYZ company here. and let's call them. There'll be a toll-free number on the back of the card. So I call that company up, I identify myself and say, hey, this is Bill Ellsworth. I'm a licensed insurance agent in the state of Missouri. I'm staying here with Mr. Jones. If you need to talk to him to verify he's sitting right here to tell you it's okay to talk to me. So they'll get him on the phone. They'll make him give his date of birth, his address, and then they'll say, is it okay to talk to Mr. Ellsworth? They'll say yes, and they hand that phone back to me. And I say, well, your last rate increase is more than Mr. Jones wants to pay. He wants you to take that off of bank draft and not draft his bank account in February. They'll say, okay, and again, I got it on speakerphone so he can hear it. He'll say, okay, we will remove him from bank draft, and is there anything else we can do? No, thank you, have a great day. Hang up. Now, what have I done? I have given him a better policy price-wise. Benefits are probably the same. I give him a great back office to admin his product. I've saved him money. I've canceled his other help. I've helped him cancel his other policy so that he does not have to worry about double dipping in February or getting a double draft in February. All of our stuff is digitally recorded, so if there's ever an issue, we can go pull the tape on that interview and see if there was any mistakes made on our end. So your policy is locked in now. You've done things for that prospect that probably no other agent's ever done in the past because they haven't had this capability. So great, great process, guys. If you haven't tried it, I would encourage you to do it. That way you're on to your next opportunity because we have now got a policy wrote, issued, and ready for payment. Okay, call center. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on call center, guys. It's basically the same thing as a face-to-face method. The only difference is you're on the phone the entire phone call. You got a three-way phone call going. It would be like me talking to you like I am and then say, okay, guys, hang on. I'm going to get the underwriting department on. I put you on hold, and I dial up the underwriter, and then we're all three on the phone together. So we're on the phone the entire time. The process will be the same. They'll take your agent information, then they'll talk to the policyholder. You prepare the client. You don't coach him, but you do prepare him. Now, what do I mean when I say that? I'll show you here in just a second. But if everybody's prepared, including you, you make sure that you make that sale before we call the tele-underwriting department. We don't want the policyholder asking the underwriter benefit questions. That's not their job. That's our job. So we prepare ourselves. We prepare the client. So here's what I mean by preparing the client. I think you can see by the things I'm putting on the screen there, if every time the underwriter asks one of these questions and your policyholder says, well, let's see, my medications are in the medicine cabinet, I'll go get them, I'll be right back. And then you say, okay, Ms. Jones, do you have your banking information? Well, my checkbook's in my purse, let me go get it. You see what I'm getting at? We as agents know that the underwriting department's going to ask each and every one of these things on here. So let's make sure our policyholders have them readily available. What I do if I'm face-to-face, I've got all this stuff filled out right in front of them. Their medication list, I filled that piece of paper out so that they can just start reading right off of there and read it to the underwriter. I'm very thorough when I'm there. Trust me, they're going to do a prescription check, so if there's medications that you don't put on there or they don't disclose to you, they'll show up in the prescription history check. So do a good job on that, and these things will make the underwriting and the interview process go extremely smooth. Now, the replacement form, let's talk about that for just a second. If you're doing face-to-face selling, it's simple. You simply sign it, date it, and fax it into 385-207-7882 when you get back to your office. If you're doing a three-way phone call, it's a little bit more complicated, but we're about ready to solve that problem also. If you're doing a three-way phone call, what the call centers are doing, as soon as that sale's complete, they've already got the person's name and address. They tell them after the interview's over, Mr. Jones, I'm going to have to send you a replacement form to have you sign it. And I've got the instructions in there for you to go ahead and mail it on to the insurance company. And that's how most people do it. They just go ahead as soon as that call's over, they write the policy number on the replacement form, send it to the person, have them sign it, and mail it on to the company. Now, we're getting ready to introduce our online express app process. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here today because when we get it out there, I'll just do a webinar on nothing but that. But basically what I'm telling you guys is you'll be able to go to your agent website either in the home if you'll have to have internet capability, so you'll have to have one of those like hotspots to get the internet out. But what a lot of people will be doing and are doing on a couple other platforms that this is available at is they'll just take the information at the home, they'll come back to their office, get online, and fill all the information out, hit submit, and what that does for the guy that's used to doing it the old-fashioned way, take the app back to his office, process it, mail it into the company, and 2 or 3 weeks later he gets an answer from the insurance company that, hey, Joe Jones was approved. By doing it, what I'm showing, what I'm telling you that you're going to have the ability to do, you can actually go write the app, bring it back, fill it out in your office, hit submit, and that'll move you in the underwriting process to the very next, to a 24-hour period. It may be even the same day if you do it early in the day and come back. But it speeds up the underwriting tenfold by doing it that way. We'll talk more about that when that's available, but that is a process that is available on one of our other companies that we market, and it is really, really going over great. And plus, there will be a replacement form on that where you can just sign it, type your name in, and then when it goes out from the company, it'll go directly to the policyholder, takes you out of the mix, you don't even have to fool with it. So a lot of good things that we're doing here to help you make your business, doing business with IAC easier for you, the agent. Remember, one of the most important things in this entire process, if you're doing a telephonic app, do not coach the application. You can help with pertinent information like their current policy. If they maybe don't hear well and they say, well, are you on Medicare? A lot of times, or they'll say, are you on Medicaid? And they'll say yes, when they're really not. They're on Medicare, so you can help in those kind of situations. You just got to be quiet when it comes to the HIPAA-protected information like the health insurance questions and the medications. Okay, so in review, guys, letting you get back to work here real quick. We completely issue this policy over the phone the way it is. We give you a policy number at the end of that phone call. It helps you save on time, gas, fuel. Of course, you can still use paper applications. Right now we're running about 50-50. 50% of the business we're getting is through the telephonic process. The other 50 is on paper. And when you do the telephonic app, it's a copy of the application is neatly typed in the back of the policy, so everything is right there for your review when it comes out. And again, as I said earlier, one of the most important things that most agents like, it allows us to pay you a lot quicker. Tele-underwriting hours, Monday through Thursday in all time zones, we're open 12 hours for your convenience. On Fridays, we shut that down to 11 hours in every time zone. So a lot of leeway there, guys, as far as the hours you have to complete this process. Again, here in the near future, hopefully before the end of the first quarter, you'll be able to take that app in the home. If you're there, come back, enter it on the computer, hit submit, and have an underwriting call guaranteed within 24 hours. Great process. I'm telling you, that's huge in what we do. Talk a little bit about bonus programs. I can't tell you a whole lot about the numbers because I don't know if the people on here are what we call an LOA, a licensed only agent. In other words, you're working for an agency that provides you with leads and does a lot of your back office work for you, or I don't know if you're a broker. We have bonus programs for each one of those situations, and if you're not aware of it or haven't seen some of the emails going out, or if you're an LOA, ask your upline. Say, hey, what about this new bonus program through IAC, or why aren't we selling that, or do we need more information on it? Let us know what your situation is and have your upline get a hold of us, or if you're a broker, get a hold of us after the call, and we will sure let you know what those bonuses are and how they affect you. But I'm telling you guys, there's some pretty exciting stuff going on out here with these bonus programs. We've had the opportunity to maybe do a bonus program or maybe a trip. The bad thing about it, well, everybody loves trips, don't get me wrong, but usually you have a certain amount of people that qualify the trips, and they're usually the same people over and over. With a bonus program, everybody can participate. It may not, it's at a certain level, but there are ways that everybody is allowed to participate for doing business with the company. And I don't say we're not going to have a trip. We may do that later too. But right now we're kicking this off with a bonus program, and it's very well getting a lot of good feedback so far on that. Okay, contact sheet. As you can see, I'm going to leave that. Let me just go one slide further. I think I'll come back to that. Yeah, I'll come back. I'm going to leave that up there right now, guys. If you want that sheet or if you need anything that we've talked about here today, Todd will come on here in a minute, answer any questions, and we can get this email out to you with that contact sheet if you need that. Happy to send it to you. And then if you need to get a hold of us, I'll leave that up while I get Todd on here. Usually he's pretty good at answering these questions. He's an agent also, so he gets everything answered, and we can let you get back to work. Todd, you still there?
Yeah, and I've just answered a few questions from people, but I will send each person an email to see if they have any more questions, but at this time we don't have anything for you, Bill.
Fantastic. Guys, I appreciate you joining us. If you do have any questions later, shoot us an email at billy@e-hfg.com or Todd at tweiss@e-hfg.com. Cindy does all the licensing. If you need supplies, get a hold of Amber or call us at 844-502-6780. We're here to help you any way we can. And again, thank you for joining us. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.